Okay, so my next guest is Hammurabi Fuentes. Hammurabi Fuentes is a Thonic mystic. Am I saying that right?
Correct.
Yeah, Thonic mystic. By the way, his way of initiation into mysticism is addiction, and I've had a pleasure to spend time with Hammurabi almost 2 years now, and I have been mesmerized by the way that addiction has created him as an individual and who he's becoming. And so today is just a conversation with him into the journey and what he's experienced and how he became who he is as an individual through the path of addiction. So, Hammurabi, how are you doing?
How am I doing? Thank you for having me, Felix. I'm definitely really excited to be here. Take two for us. And I'm doing well. Very well, brother. Looking forward to talk.
Yeah. So I remember when we met at Long Beach Rising,
Yeah.
and I remember that it was I was going to the sauna, which is something that both of you and I love, being at the sauna. I remember meeting you, and I had a conversation with you, very brief, but I knew that there was so many gems and pearls that you were carrying that that needed to be explored, and I knew immediately that you're going to be a friend that I was going to have for a long time. Do you
I think the
recall
feeling
this time?
the feeling is mutual. I remember that day very well, to be honest. And for many reasons, I was still in the residue of what my experience that happened. We met in 2024, but I was still in the residue of what happened to me in 2023, which is, I believe, why we're having this conversation. But when I met you, I also felt the same way. I was like, whoa, this is amazing. Like I knew we were gonna get along and all that. You know, the connection was very, very real. Almost like if I knew you before.
Yeah,
It was one of those things.
Yeah, you seemed familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I recognized you in myself. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah, so some of the things that you do that actually really made me gravitate towards you was movement, right? You do meals as a Persian Indian.
Right. So I guess we can start like this. I've always been a movement coach, and mainly focused. I think mainly focused around unconventional training and unconventional tools. So the first experience that we had was when I shared with you Persian meals, and Persian meals are a variation of a club that comes particularly from the Iranian culture. But it turns out that every culture has a variation of this, and that's how we met. I'm most known for club bells.
Yeah.
Right. And we can get into that as far as like sparking the club bell industry out in China.
Yeah, so speaking of clubs, I see you're holding a club.
Yeah, and this is my favorite club, and it was given to me by you. And this is an Urungu club, and it's my walking stick. So I want to say that I really do appreciate this gift, and now I walk around with this stick. I love it. And
Yeah,
it's a long-
so I remember I've had this club for almost 3-4 years now, and I just knew that I was going to gift this to someone, but
Okay.
I never really knew how that was going to play out. But after I met you, and after being and having a conversation with you, and realizing you were into clubs and different cultures, primitive cultures, and we're
Right.
going to get into that. I gifted you that.
Yes, you did. And here's the thing. I knew I was going to get one of these clubs. How did I know that? Because following my awakening, I wanted to buy a club, and I looked at it on Etsy, and I took a screenshot, which I later
You did
showed
show me that,
That I showed
yeah.
you of this
2
exact
years before.
2 years before that I wanted a club like this, and this is exactly the one that I got.
So the crazy part about that 2 years, I was
Yeah.
actually traveling to Kenya at that time, and I remember buying 3 clubs, and I've gifted them to 2 of my other friends. But there was one that was left that I hadn't gifted to anyone. But the time that you had taken that screenshot was the exact time I was in Kenya, which is fascinating.
And just for correction, I realized in my timeline, I hadn't had my awakening yet. I had just stopped drinking.
Okay,
So it was around that time. Yeah.
now drinking and addiction. Since you brought that up, you call yourself a mystic.
Correct.
What does that mean?
All right. So mystic, the word mystic is the easiest way that you can think about a mystic is someone who discovers God within himself, but not God in that's in the personification of God, in the way that religion has essentially conditioned us to believe.
And this morning we were talking about, I mean, today is Martin Luther King Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and we were talking about mystics during that time.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah.
so there's mystics have been throughout the ages, you guys. There's like Sufi mystics, like Rumi, poets, people that have stood out in history, like Malcolm X. And this is what we were discussing this morning. Malcolm X was a mystic as well. He's someone who discovered God within himself. And yeah, there's many like there's been many mystics throughout history. So, and it's the idea comes from the traditional Christian Gnosticism, right? Which before it was misinterpreted in terms of religion, but it's just a word giving in terms of the West of someone who discovers God within themselves.
Someone that discovers God within themselves, and you believe that you have discovered God within yourself, and that is a pathway for.
I know.
You know.
I know.
Okay.
I definitely
Yeah.
know. It's not a belief.
Oh.
It's
okay.
a very and I know how that sounds to people, right? But if you and this is where we can get into addiction, and the connection between how that happened to me. I never intended it for this to happen. I never intended for me to even use that word, and it's something that I've come over the past 2 years to understand and recognize, and it's something that I didn't want to accept at all.
Yeah.
And in my integration following my awakening, it's something that I've revealed myself to myself. And what's difficult is because we have like an inherited, a collective belief of the way we should go about perceiving God, right? And that's sort of where now I know now.
Yeah.
You know,
So
I don't need permission to understand that God is within me.
So you're making a very clear differentiation between believe, which most religions would think and proclaim that I believe in God, to I know God.
Yes.
That would be something that will get you killed.
Absolutely, absolutely. And think about it this, you guys. Imagine this. You go to a therapist and you tell that person I'm healed. They'll say, no, you're not healed. Okay. You go to a pastor, you tell him, I found God within myself. Impossible. You can't. So the fundamental questions we have to be asking, why is that? Why the fuck is that? Why is it that, some people are, and I just gave 2 examples, but let me be fair. If I tell, let's say, a Hindu, you discovered that you're God, that Hindu wouldn't be, oh, welcome to the world. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Because now we're talking about a different cosmology of looking at things.
Yeah. So in terms of the certainty of I know, I had a friend who was an addict that ended up relapsing into addiction. And it's one of those things that when somebody asks you, okay, you struggle with addiction, but now you know that you will not go back into addiction.
Right.
What makes you say that with so much confidence?
Right. Let me start by, well, not start, but let me start, I guess, with a simple phrase in Latin: spiritus contra spiritum. Okay? So spirit against spirit. Now, this term came about during 1960s in a conversation between Jung and the founder of AA, where basically he said that addicts, particularly alcoholics, resemble the thirst for spirit, right? And the term alcohol turns out to be alcohol, like meaning spirit. And the only way that you can actually fight the spirit is by awakening that spirit within you. I didn't know any of this until much later, because I've never been a part of AA until I moved back, in which we can discuss that. So for me, I found out very much later in life, not through reading, but through my experience. And I had a mystical event on July 3rd at 3:30 p.m., exactly at that time, where I uttered the words after 3 hours of catharsis, and I can explain what that is in a little bit. There's no other way but to live my life, but as a man of God. What the fuck? I literally thought that I was, am I Christian now? Because that's the way my psyche organized that. But I was like, wait, no, that's not it, actually. There's no other way but to live my life, but as a man of God. As soon as I uttered that, feeling it from catharsis is feeling or crying for intensity, with severe intensity for hours, in my case, where I experience something shoot up my spine and into my head like this, and that's the experience that I thought that made me crazy. That's the whole experience that I feel while we're having this conversation, because I myself have been trying to explain that to myself within the past 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, and after that moment, sobriety was no longer maintenance, or it, from December 10th, 2022, I guess, let me just explain this. When the day that I decided that I couldn't be helped by anything or anyone, I kind of came into my own. From that day to July 3rd, everything was difficult. Like, Felix, you have to imagine, I've never been sober longer than 90 days in my life. I was 42 years old at the time. Imagine 90 days in my life. I've never been sober than that. That's insane for me. And so I lived in fear all the time, living in fear until July 3rd. I knew right there and then that I was never going to live in fear again.
Yeah. So you knew that the only way to live as a man of God was for you to give up alcohol.
Let me adjust that. I didn't know that I didn't fall into the work of redemption. You don't plan the work of redemption. I fell into it.
What do you mean by the work of redemption?
I would be a liar to sit here and I planned my spiritual awakening. I didn't. My body, my mind, after living every primal instinct that I had about my rascality, my selfishness as an addict, my egoism, the war that I had inside of me, all of that, I lived it through every very moment. And on December 10th in 2022, I didn't know what to do. I dove into a ceremony with myself. What I mean by that is I basically wrote to myself and I imagined what that would look like for me to not be in this moment, because I knew that I was going to die, not being back in it's either basically very simple. It's either the hospital, jail, or death. There's no other way out of addiction in that regards. And I understand that, what that meant. So I didn't plan this.
Yeah.
I fell into it.
So there are people who have these like awakenings after an experience with, say, plant medicine,
Right.
or a drug, psilocybin,
Yeah.
mushrooms, or something that sparks their spiritual awakening. This happened to you randomly.
Well, here, let me first, I'm glad that you mentioned psychedelics. Look, you guys, I used to glorify psychedelics. This is before any of this happened, all right? And I used to think that psychedelics were gonna give me the answer. I've smoked 5-MeO DMT. I've met my elf in the NNDMT, under NNDMT. You will recognize those of you who have met them, and I know there's a lot out there. That didn't save me. I still kept on drinking. I still kept on pursuing it. These substances are tools. And those tools can help you, but the work still has to be done within you, okay? And what happened to me on July 3rd was what opened me. I took a psilocybin dose, and I have to be open about that. Now, current research now, and you guys can look this up with the MAPS organization, with by Johns Hopkins University, that are now looking at amazing results for people who are addicts. Now, you taking a substance doesn't guarantee you an awakening. Okay, doesn't work that way. And now what I've come to understand in the way that I analyzed myself for the past couple of years is that my psyche was ready for it simply because I crossed the threshold. But that threshold was paid during my body. Discipline, daily habits, routines, doing the things that I didn't want to do.
So there's responsibility that comes after that awakening that you have had to go through.
I would say that I took that responsibility before the awakening. Okay, I have to tell you that, because my life after, and I would say December 14th, 2022 is very important. When I kind of not gave up, but this is literally where, like, if the truth is gonna kill me, then let whatever falls in me die. And I didn't understand what I was getting myself into. And up to July 3rd, look, psychedelics will loosen the fabric of reality. But you cannot plan what happens. Okay?
So something that I'm curious about, describe your time as an addict.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is something that I've not really experienced, but I'm curious. when you're an addict? How does that look like? What are you looking for
Let's
as an addict?
let's take it down like this. I know a few demons very well. I know the methamphetamines demon. I know the opiate demon, and I know the alcohol demon. Okay. I never understood myself why I was always had an addictive personality, right? Like this desire to want to, I don't know, just live my animal and like not responsible. I saw my dad, he's not an addict. Like, where am I getting this from? Methamphetamines, after meeting my mother, was the drug that I used to numb myself. And I used to, I mean, and people will tell you when you're a meth addict, especially in the beginning, it starts off fun, right? It gives you a boost. It hides, masks your emotions. You feel unstoppable. That turned into an addiction for me. And the meth demon is a very, very, very serious demon. And I was at university at the time, and I was straight out full-blown meth addict.
And this is at
At
USC.
USC, yeah, at
This is
USC.
at USC, yeah.
This is a transition going from Long Beach Community College into USC. And I mean, when I tell people that I was fucking living in parking structure A in my hatchback, like, I'm not kidding. And I had one foot in academia, and here I am. I'm this fucking kid from, you know, the hood who ended up going into this private institution where, and I was a full-blown addict. And the irony, it was in South LA, right, South Central, right? So I knew how to mix between both worlds and use my, like, I remember being stopped by the cops, and fucking I had an 8-ball of crystal meth, and I know those are serious consequences. I would play the student card. I'm sorry, and I would be very clever. Here's the thing about addicts, we're naughty and we're fucking clever. We know how to cheat. The trickster.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would always have like cigarettes around me, and the green Monster drinks. But at the time they were called different. It's a different brand. So, and my car was dirty, like a typical fucking meth addict, right?
Yeah.
So then that way, when if anything would happen, they're like, oh, he's just stressed out by university, right?
Yeah.
So I would use that
You
to
did
get out
that,
of things. Absolutely. So that was the meth addiction, and that one nearly fucking killed me. I always tell people that I graduated with a degree in international relations, but fuck that degree. I graduated with my life. You know, I saved my fucking life.
Yeah. So you're graduating from college. You're an addict. Your family, do they know about this? Tell me about your family.
I love my family, and I thank God for my father and my mother, and I'm really happy that I was born into that family. And that's all I'd like to say about them. Like,
So are you saying this in retrospect, or is this a feeling that you've carried?
This is something that I know.
That
You
you
know,
know.
I'm really lucky. My father, my mother, and even though I was never raised by my mother, my grandmother raised me, and she was an amazing woman. And also my brother, who's my cousin, he's also an amazing guy. Everyone has been amazing. Yeah. And I want to say that because it's something that if you're an addict out there, I know it's very easy to want to blame our lives on the external world, but there's no healing with that. Yeah.
So this is a good segue to go into treatment for addiction and how society treats addiction. And do you think it's a multi-billion-dollar, or let me give you a hypothetical question. Tomorrow, we wake up and addiction has been treated. Nobody is no longer an addict. Do you think the government would be out celebrating, or would they be crying for the loss of revenue?
Well, that's a very specific question, and it's also you're directing somewhere. But let me even zoom out a little bit. I would say, if that were to happen, the world would turn upside down, particularly religion and institutions, systems, because we don't want people that are sober.
Society benefits
want
from addicts.
Yeah, and and I guess this is something that I wrote in my book, right? The system profits from your relapse, life profits from your rebirth, and a system can manage us. And this is not to say that systems are bad, but it is now a responsibility, particularly I myself as having to live that life, that we need to eliminate where systems can no longer carry us, and where responsibility is on the individual. But that's very difficult because there's too many people that are involved, right? And this is not to say that a system, or we're being very general here, doesn't have the best interests, but from a historical perspective, creating maintenance and dependency is what keeps a system alive.
So systems and individuals.
Yeah.
So you believe that systems, the better individuals form better systems.
I would say that it's a reflection, because what happens in the individual happens in the collective. Now here's the thing. Here's my position on this, and this is why it's maybe not a popular opinion among systems, institutions, religion-based, whether they be. I healed myself on my own. That sounds very arrogant, but the systems failed me. Religion failed me. It gave me morality, shame, right? The mental health systems gave me diagnoses, maintenance. Peer support systems gave me, which are based on, and I'm talking about institutions, AA, all these institutions require you, in order for you to be a part of this group, for you to be casting spells upon yourself. Well, what does that mean? Well, you were really
Yes. What do you mean by casting spells?
Hello, my name is Hammurabi and I am an alcoholic. Hello, my name is Hammurabi and I am an alcoholic. I am an addict. I am. What are you? Who are you? Who is this I that you speak of? The fundamental question that changed my life is asking that question within myself. Who are you? And here's where it gets fucking weird. Do you have an alcohol drinking problem? Yes. Has life become unmanageable? Yes. Okay, let's explore deeper. Who are you? Who are you? And this is where the looking at depth psychology and understanding that the egoic side that we're talking from, you're right. The ego, you are the, like, this is, I don't want to overlap now in terms of that.
So are you saying it's inevitable for somebody who's asking, who am I? Instead of casting a spell and saying, I am an addict, I am an addict.
Let me just say, addiction and healing, let's just say predominantly healing, it's a religious problem, okay?
What do you mean by that?
It's a problem that let's just use religion, requires you to put placement outside of yourself, that something is wrong with you, that whatever impulses that you have are bad, right? And what it is because we have the devil to blame. But God will protect you. But then we fucking have to ask who created the devil. And then these questions, when you keep on asking them, right? They're like, do I have the devil in me? Well, what is the devil, right? Because I've read the Bible and the devil has actually never actually killed someone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's be fucking real with this shit. Like, you know, let's just be real with it.
Yeah.
And my way of understanding this now, it's been influenced by depth psychology, particularly the works of Jung and his introduction of the shadow aspect. Go ahead.
Yeah. So depth psychology, when you're referring to depth psychology, what would that mean to somebody that doesn't know anything about psychology?
Right, you guys. What I mean is this. If you are solving the problem of addiction, or if you find yourself in this way, right? To quote Hippocrates, right? Before you can heal a man, you have to ask him if he's willing to give up the things that made him sick. Now, we would say, well, Hammurabi, the drugs made you sick. Okay, yes, of course. But the drugs are a symptom of something deeper and deeper and deeper. And as an addict, you can understand that you have to unravel these experiences for yourself. And for me, I've almost killed myself several times over until I finally did. And the big question now is, but what made me sick? Was it my childhood trauma? Is it my mental health? What is it? Let's keep going back and back. Is it the system of the institutions? What is it? And it comes back into, for me, it always came back to religion and the way of our perception of God. At least I was raised Catholic. Okay?
Perception of God.
Yes.
So, if I was an addict, I was looking for a silver bullet to solve my addiction, to have me drop this cup tomorrow and not drink again. Are you saying there's a silver bullet for that?
I'm really precise with words. You said solve your
Yeah.
addiction.
Continue.
Okay, you said solve your addiction. If you're out there, you guys, I can tell you, you're not going to solve an addiction.